This is Thieves Cant Capers, unlocking the systems behind the stories. Welcome back to Thieves Cant Capers. It's our deep dive into systems, mechanics, and the games behind the stories we share at the table. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
And this is the Draw Steel Job, Part 6. If you are looking for Draw Steel basics, if you're looking for ancestries, backgrounds, or those first 6 classes that we've discussed, like the Censor, the Conduit, the Elementalist, the Fury, the Null, or the Shadow, go back on the playlist. All that content is just right there waiting for you.
That's right. And if you want to make sure to not miss another one, how could you do that?
Well, you could smash that subscribe button. Right? Is that how I'm supposed to say it?
Yeah, that sounded good. Yeah, sure.
So today we are finishing our review of the classes. And when I say review, I simply mean our look over of the classes. We've got the Talent, we've got the Tactician, and the Troubadour. It's our 3 T's.
The 3 T's of Draw Steel.
And so with no time wasted, we dive right in. Let's start with the Tactician. Chris, the Tactician, this is a brilliant strategist, a weapons master, excels at granting allies more movement and actions on the battlefield. They're always looking out for their buddies, right? They also support allies outside of combat. Initial thoughts on the Tactician before we jump in.
This is the team player.
The quarterback?
This is the glue right here. Yeah, the leader, the glue. In fact, it reminds me a lot of and I'm sure you as well, the Warlord from 4th edition.
Yeah.
If we wanted to draw some parallels. So, and I think in the Battlemaster Fighter in 5e, we see some abilities like Commander that sort of draw to this, but this is really focused on that fantasy. And I'm going to be honest, this is probably the most interesting for me of the classes. I want to play all 3 of these subclasses.
Well, let's find out more about those. Your subclass is your Tactical Doctrine. So you're going to choose from Insurgent, Mastermind, or Vanguard. Of course, that choice is going to grant you a skill from the Intrigue, Lore, or Interpersonal group, respectively. And then, of course, it will determine a ton of your features. So let's look at these individually.
Yeah, so the Insurgent was probably the most surprising to me.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at these, because it's got a very roguish feel to it. You are you're the dirty fighter. You're the scoundrel for sure. So, looking at the abilities here, it looks like a lot of debuffs to the enemy because, you're using those questionable tactics. I don't know if this is like a Han Solo feel. You don't want to get lost in the weeds because, again, the focus is for every character to be heroic, certainly. But you're wily. You're wily. That's a good term. You're crafty. But, yeah, you're willing to throw some dirt in somebody's eyes if it means that the greater good is achieved.
Right. Well, you're always looking for the best strategic option. Any way that you can get the upper hand.
I'm going to do what I have to do. Looking at the Mastermind, the game is your chessboard. You're looking at every piece that's spread out there and weighing the consequences of every action. And so there is a lot of support baked into this and some movement. Because you're playing chess, and everybody else is playing checkers.
Always outthinking your opponent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the last one we have is the Vanguard.
And this is the quick build suggestion.
Yeah, that's right. And again, it looks fun. This is more of a tanky character. This is the frontline character. So when you think of that battle commander that's in the thick of it, that's the Vanguard.
Yeah, so if you're asking, well, all right, if they're a frontline fighter, then how does that extend to allies? Because we talked about the support that they, all of these subclasses are supposed to lend to their allies. Well, you can think about it as sheer will and determination, that force of personality, that others are drawn to, inspired to follow.
Yeah, I'm pushing through this enemy line, and you're coming with me.
Let's talk heroic resource for the Tactician, which comes in the form of focus. You're going to gain that equal, and again, this is for all classes. You always gain that heroic resource equal to your victories at the start of a combat encounter. But the Tactician gains an additional 2 focus at the start of each turn in combat, and 1 the first time each combat round that you or any ally damages a creature marked by you.
Mm-hmm.
Or the first time any ally within 10 squares of you uses a heroic ability. I'm at the point again where my head starts to swim
right.
with all of these different things that you're going to be tracking, that you're going to be keeping up with.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse today. Just so you know, it's going to get worse. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. It's all about, I'm going to mark the baddie, you're going to target the baddie, and that's how we're going to win. It's that synergy in teamwork is really where this class seems to excel.
And by extension, the game itself. If you want Draw Steel to sing, and again, we haven't played it.
Right.
We are on our way to playing. We're just taking our time with the rules. But I think if you want this game to sing, everybody is going to have to know their characters.
Yeah.
Well, this is not for passive players.
No, it's not, because that teamwork is essential. It's just, in a game of teamwork, the Tactician is the master. That's why this looks like so much fun to me.
Because you're a control freak.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm controlling, and I have personality flaws. Sorry. But, I love it, because it's just, you do your thing, and I'm going to play off that, and I'm going to make it better.
Okay, so your choice of tactical doctrine also grants you a first-level doctrine feature, each doctrine providing a different one. We could look at the commanding presence, for example, for the Vanguard.
This is interesting, because it's maybe an aspect that you didn't think about, but it's tacticians are negotiators as well. So sometimes the focus there is going to be keeping us out of a combat or controlling that situation. So
boost your renown during negotiations. Right?
Yeah. So it's more advantageous. If you're negotiating, you want the Tactician there.
If you are buying a car, bring a Tactician along.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
You also get triggered actions based on your choice of doctrine. Like, again, with the Vanguard, the quick build option, parry.
This just is one more thing that demonstrates you are a master of combat. You're not just a negotiator. You're not just a commander standing on the back line. You have combat capability. You are a fighter, but you are more than that.
You also have access to various kits that define your martial approach, your equipment, your fighting style. This would be your field arsenal. You gain bonuses to your statistics and a signature ability from your chosen kit. You get to mark enemies, allowing you and your allies to gain an edge on power rolls against them. You can also spend focus to get benefits when you or an ally damages a marked creature. We've got the feature called Strike Now. Allows an ally to use a signature ability as a free triggered action. That's awesome. You can spend 5 focus to target 2 allies instead of 1. This function that we've seen in games for a while, granting an ally an attack, this is the first time I can recall allowing multiple allies to get that attack off.
It's exciting. And again, it's with the Tactician, sometimes it's moving the spotlight to other players. And it's just part of that teamwork, and that's why I think it's so appealing.
As for abilities, you get your 1 kit signature ability from your field arsenal, and then you get your 1 3-focus heroic ability and 1 5-focus heroic ability.
There's one called Now, which is with an exclamation point.
Just now.
That's why I growled at you.
Which is different than Strike Now.
Yeah.
Which we just talked about.
Yeah, it's just each target can make a free strike, right? Okay. Which is fun. But there's another one called This Is What We Planned For, and it's basically each target who hasn't acted yet this combat round can take their turn in any order immediately after yours. Think about how that would shape a combat, right?
Just stacking up turns against the director.
Yeah, I mean, just completely altering the flow of combat.
All right. Anything else on the Tactician?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot to talk about, but
Right.
Not here.
Yeah.
Not yet.
At a first level glance, this gives us a really good idea of what the Tactician is all about. What would be your preferred subclass going in? I know you love the Tactician. If you had to choose one, which direction are you going?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I know it's kind of basic, but I like the Vanguard. You know, I like the warrior up front, raising their sword, yelling charge, and breaking through. That's appealing to me.
I'm drawn to the Insurgent. I like maybe some of the less honorable tactics. I want to be Mad Mardigan.
That's fair.
All right, we move on. Let's take a look at the talent. We've seen psionics come into play in Draw Steel and some other areas, some other classes, but the talent is the master of psionics. They manifest powers to manipulate objects, time, minds. They can reach far into themselves and use abilities even when they don't have their heroic resource, which puts an interesting wrinkle into gameplay. Of course, there's still going to be a cost that must be paid, so we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. Initial impressions of the talent before we really dive in.
They're creepy.
Yeah.
Scary. I don't know why. I just get more of like the Carrie vibe.
Right.
You know, less of the
fire starter
focused monk sitting on top of a mountain and more of this person is going to blow all our brains up with their brain.
Psionics should be terrifying.
Yeah.
And I love that they are here.
Yeah.
So with your talent, of course, you get your choice of talent tradition. This is your subclass. Now, it should be noted the book lays out 8 different traditions, 8 different talent traditions, most of which it says are going to be featured in future products. So you get your choice from these 3 as of now, chronopathy, telekinesis, or telepathy.
For chronopathy, this is basically you are able to manipulate time. We've seen a few other subclasses that had this same focus. So effectively, you're going to use time to hinder your foes, to aid your allies. You're the person sitting there at the rewind and fast forward button,
right?
Going from one chapter back and forth.
Yeah, it says you can view future and past events.
Yeah, there's mechanical effects that are going to be applied, but it is an interesting thing because how would this impact a character? Like, how much would this change your perspective? So it's definitely fun from a role play idea.
And then we've got telekinesis.
Telekinesis. So you use the power of your mind to change and influence the world around you. And not surprisingly, there's going to be a lot of forced movement.
Throwing things around.
Yeah.
I dig it. And then finally, telepathy.
With telepathy, you are basically able to enter the mind of others, and you can use those powers to manipulate your opponents, to coordinate with your allies. You are putting out the signal for good or ill.
Quick build option here is telekinesis, suggested by Draw Steel. Let's talk heroic resource. Clarity and strain. You gain it equal to your victories at the start of a combat encounter. You get 1d3 clarity at the start of each of your turns in combat. And you gain 1 clarity the first time each combat round that a creature is force moved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's encouraging you to do what you do to gain the resource that you need. I mean, the mechanics are set up so that you can lean into your class type.
Right. But think about with other players. I'm going to do that forced movement ability. That's going to help out my friend.
You can spend clarity you don't have, and this is where that interesting wrinkle comes in, to a maximum negative value equal to 1 plus your reason. Becoming strained then and taking 1 damage for each negative point of clarity at the end of your turn.
Seems to be the push and pull of the class, is this idea of you're sort of devouring yourself in order to power your abilities.
Yeah. I love dangerous spell casting.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm going to love any sort of of risk involved with using your power, whether it's spell-based or psionic-based or, even physically, if you can become strained by pushing yourself to your physical limits. I love to see that sort of thing. This excites me. I like the idea of I can still do everything I want to do. I just have to take a little damage to do it.
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Am I willing to? Is my buddy gonna buff me on his turn?
Right.
Maybe heal me. Maybe I'll get this back.
Is that Tactician got my back?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk Mind Spike. This is a signature psionic strike. It deals psychic damage, has special effects if you are strained. So sometimes, you do want to be strained to boost some of your other abilities. So accepting that negative effect could be a good thing. And then we look at psionic augmentation. 4 augmentations to choose from. What are we looking at, Chris?
Well, we have density augmentation. Looks like a bonus to your stamina. That bonus is just going to continue to increase as you increase in level. You got distance augmentation, which pretty self-explanatory. Your range psionic abilities are going to increase. Force augmentation, the damage that you do with your psionic abilities is going to increase. And then speed augmentation, which is just going to make you faster.
Yeah, I think I said 4, but we're looking at 5 here because battle is also included. You can wear light armor and wield light weapons effectively, even though you don't have a kit to do so.
Mm-hmm.
You're also going to choose one of 4 talent wards: entropy, repulsive, steal, or vanishing. Now, naturally, I lean repulsive.
You certainly do.
But maybe I'm interested in some other options.
We're sitting across the table from each other, and I'm repulsed as we speak. Your power's in full effect.
So what do our other options give us?
We have the entropy ward. That's going to slow down time for your enemies. And when a creature deals damage to you, it's going to reduce their speed. The steal ward, it's a ward that actually reacts to danger, and so it's going to protect you from harm. When you take damage, you gain damage immunity equal to your reason score. And then the vanishing ward, your ward is going to allow you to slip away from threats. Whenever you take damage, you become invisible until the end of your next turn.
That's cool.
It is, yeah. All of these, you can see how they're shaping, again, a very different character, which is great. I love options, and there's plenty of them here.
Telepathic speech, of course, the mind speech language, and can telepathically communicate with creatures within distance of your mind spike ability if you share a language.
Mind speech. Isn't that an interesting idea?
It's interesting to actually, to classify it as a language all its own.
Yeah, because we just kind of picture it as I'm talking in my voice through my head into your head, and you understand the language I'm speaking. It's...
Yeah, but this is a different representation of that.
It is.
Is it actually my voice that you hear in your mind, or are we just communicating on a level that's hard to bring into words?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my mind language would stutter a lot. There'd be a lot of radio silence.
Yeah. Talents also get a triggered action, their reactive barrier. It lets you reduce damage or forced movement from an incoming effect. If forced movement is negated, you then can counter push the source. I love it. I'm going to take that energy you just threw at me, and I'm going to repurpose it and throw it back at you. That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
And again, a little battlefield control coming into play. As far as abilities go, the talent is one of these classes that gets 2 signature abilities, and to go along with their 1/3 clarity heroic ability and their 1/5 clarity heroic ability. Signature abilities, you get your choice between things like an entropic bolt, hoarfrost, kind of a blast of cold, incinerate. They've got a kinetic grip option, kinetic pulse.
Yeah, kinetic pulse, that's an interesting one. It's when you're strained, of course, you increase the size of the burst, but you're bleeding until the start of your next turn. So I just think of that as like the nosebleed,
right, right, or the eyes,
Right.
ears, all of your orifices.
You're just quivering and like your eyes are all crazy and rolled back into your head or something. Yeah,
absolutely.
There's a lot of flavor here.
Any of the heroic abilities that you want to call out?
I have to be honest. And I think I heard them talk about this in one of the development documentaries, but I really do get sort of a Jedi feel from psionics too.
Really? Yeah.
And so when I look at the choke, I can't help but think that, yeah, that's, you can vertically pull the target up to 2 squares. If the target is made restrained by the ability, this force movement ignores their stability. You're doing damage. Yeah, it's a force choke. That's fun. Like, who doesn't want to do that? I want to be Darth Vader.
Flashback is a 5 clarity ability. A little time manipulation here. Let's see how this works. The flavor text tells us that the target is thrown several seconds back through time and gets to do it all again. The target uses an ability with a base heroic resource cost of 7 or lower that they've previously used this round without needing to spend the base cost. Augmentations to the ability can be paid for as usual. So you can boost it if you want, whatever. But essentially, hey, that action you just performed, do it again, the same thing. So that's how they represent that target actually going back in time.
Yeah, the attacker is doing the flashback, but the opponent is in real time taking them both.
Receiving the action once again.
Yeah. That's pretty neat. That's why I think the chronomancy is so fun, is because that idea of playing with time is unique, and it's really interesting.
Okay, final thoughts then on the talent.
Again, they are a little creepy. They are a little Jedi. They, all those aspects apply. So I think they'll be fun, and especially the chronomancy I find appealing. But I mean, telepathy, when you just start chucking people and objects and everything around,
telekinesis.
Telekinesis. Yeah, you can really see how the application of that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and again, if you're like me and you like the appeal of that risk reward element, take a little pain for a better effect, you might want to check out the talent. So our final class, these core 9, we have made it to the end. We are at the Troubadour. Touchstone here is going to be a bard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk. A troubadour inspires their allies with storytelling and swordplay that is as much an art as it is an act of war. Their quips, their songs, their poems, and epic tales produce actual magic that harms foes and bolsters allies. They can even use their magic to tweak the campaign's story in real time to better suit their needs. Impression of the Troubadour at first glance before we dive into specifics.
Well,
and thoughts on bard-like characters in general, because I know you've got them.
I don't like them. This is not for me, but it's interesting. There's at least one of these subclasses that I would like to see him play.
Yeah,
I might be interested in going with. But if you're into the bard fantasy, this is probably going to scratch that itch plus some.
Yeah.
I've heard some people describe.
Plus, it scratches and then, okay, that's enough.
Draws a little blood.
It keeps going.
Yeah. A little more. So, I've heard people describe the Troubadour as sort of like director's training, because you are.
Well, it does say you get to shape the campaign in real time.
Yeah. I mean, you're affecting reality, and not in the ways that an elementalist is. It's almost like fourth wall breaking.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'd like to see it in play.
One of my favorite characters I've ever gotten to role play is a bard. That said, I strongly dislike game mechanics that are representative of a bard figure in combat, breaking out in song. And by that, the allies are bolstered and inspired. I just don't care for the flavor. I like the idea of a bardic figure out of combat, maybe working in ritual as part of the performance to bolster allies prior to a combat, like buff them before combat. And then in combat, they're capable.
I can see the bard, and I guess this is how I've always liked to view it, as a scholar,
Very much,
a lore teller who also has this instrument for entertaining, but it's not the power of music, that's doing the damage here. Just, this is a rogue scholar. And there is some of that, but obviously there's a magical aspect that's attached to the bard. But in some ways, I've always viewed bard as more of a profession, like blacksmith or carpenter.
Yeah.
Like as far as the entertainer aspect. But clearly this is a fantasy that a lot of people like. And so it definitely has a place here. It's just, I don't know that it's for me.
Again, this is not a bard. That's just our touchstone. So let's take a closer look at the Troubadour itself. You're going to choose your class act for your subclass.
Mm-hmm.
These are class acts. So you choose from auteur, duelist, or virtuoso.
The auteur, this is really the one where it's like, I think I want to be director in the game.
Yeah.
But until this guy gets out of the way or has an accident,
I'll just play this.
I'm going to play the auteur, right? I mean, this is all about manipulating reality. This is shaping events. This is, if there was a fourth wall breaking subclass, this is the one.
And you have the brag skill.
Yeah, you do.
How about the duelist?
Okay, the duelist is interesting to me. This is the one that you might be able to get me to play. It's a lot of melee. Why do I do this to myself?
One of those is right.
Whatever it is, that's it. And so it's about a lot of movement. Obviously, you have a sword fighting character. So this is more, I kind of get the vibe of a sword dancer.
Yeah, they say you perform dances of death. It says you put your trust in your opponent to return your passion in kind.
See, that's interesting.
So looking for a quality opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And you can imagine this individual scoffing at someone who is so far beneath their skill until they finally encounter the one.
Yeah. That's what they're searching for.
Right.
Yeah.
They get the gymnastics skill as well. And then finally, the virtuoso.
The virtuoso. Yeah. This is sort of that fantasy of the magical music bard. Music is magic. And it's, it fulfills that fantasy. That's the focus. It's really more of it feels more like a spellcaster than the others.
Got you. They have the music skill and they can play an instrument. So that sounds about right. As far as heroic resource goes.
Yeah. Here we go.
Drama.
Yes. Of course.
You're going to gain drama equal to your victories, of course, at the start of the combat encounter. And then 1d3 at the start of each of your turns in combat. In addition, you're going to get 1 drama the first time each combat round that you use a performance ability. So, again, you're going to be performing in combat. Or the first time you or an ally takes damage from an enemy or deals damage to an enemy. So, lots of ways to gain that drama.
Anytime anything dramatic happens in combat, there you are.
You're feasting.
Yes. Feed me. Right. More drama. Right. More.
There are applications for drama outside of combat as well, as we see with many of these heroic resources. Let's talk routines. These are like your performance abilities that you've got at the ready. Magical presentations, songs, dances, poems, all that stuff. Gymnastics even. The 2 that you start with are choreography and revitalizing limerick, but you get additional ones based on your choice of subclass, which is where the first level class act features come into play. Each class act gives you 2 of these to start with. So, for example, if you are the auteur, you can pick up blocking and dramatic monologue. The duelist, acrobatics, star power, and the virtuoso, power chord, and virtuoso performances.
Yeah, I like the description of power chord. Your instrument rings true and your music blows everyone away.
You just turned it up to 11.
2 burst push. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you're into it, it's cool.
What if your instrument is like a flute? What are you doing? What's happening there?
I mean,
toot.
Right. You are fluting with force.
Yeah.
A lot of wind.
Knocking them down.
Now, your subclass choice is also going to grant you a triggered action, of course, unique to that subclass. And then you've got your abilities. One signature ability for your Troubadour, along with your 1 3 drama cost heroic ability and 1 5 drama heroic ability. As far as signature and heroic abilities go, Chris, anything that sings to you here from the Troubadour?
Well, cutting sarcasm, just using your words to do psychic damage, cause bleeding. It literally is cutting sarcasm. That's kind of humorous.
You can also deal psychic damage with your witty banter, and that will also let you actually end an effect on an ally that's within range.
Yeah, Turnabout is fair play is an interesting one. It basically lets you flip edges and banes when a target uses an ability.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like
that's
that.
pretty neat.
All right, so those are signature abilities. As far as heroic abilities go, man, you can really apply a lot of effects with your Troubadour.
Yeah, I think they're a powerful class. There's no doubt about it.
They can knock enemies prone. They have the ability to daze. They can slow enemies depending on the choice of ability used. So again, if it's a class that you enjoy the archetype, you enjoy that flavor, that fantasy, the options here are every bit as robust as they are for other classes. I like Fake Your Death for 5 drama. You can turn invisible, and then you create an illusion of your corpse in your space. And then while you're invisible, you get a bonus to speed. You ignore difficult terrain, basically just drawing the heat off of yourself. Kind of cool.
Yeah, method acting is kind of interesting, especially with the name in mind. But of course, you do damage and weaken an enemy, but you can become bleeding to deal extra damage, extra corruption damage to the target. So it's kind of, again, one of those, I suffer for my art.
Final thoughts on the Troubadour before we bring this one to a close.
Well, I know the Troubadour wasn't made for me, and that's okay. I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel the same way. There are certain classes that appeal to us and some that don't. I think the Troubadour, again, from a game mechanics perspective, is very interesting. There are some pretty unique ideas that we don't normally see in fantasy RPGs that pop up here. So I think this will be appealing to a lot of people. More power to them.
And again, you always have the option to reskin what you don't like, to reflavor what you don't like.
That's true, too.
The game mechanics, nothing wrong here with those.
Yeah, that's very true.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our trek through the 9 core classes and 27 subclasses that Draw Steel offers. I'm excited about these options. Honestly, including the Troubadour here, that we both kind of, we could leave it.
Yeah.
I would have fun playing a Troubadour. I would have fun playing any of these classes, I think.
I
would be eager to try any of them.
Yeah, I completely agree. They all do seem really fun. And we still have 2 classes that are well into development.
2?
Yeah.
I know of the Summoner.
Yeah, and we also have the Beast Heart.
Okay, I've not heard anything about the Beast Heart.
The Summoner has creatures or allies. Minions that they can bring to the battle. The Beast Heart is focused on one specific special friend.
So your animal companion.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, or I think maybe think a little bigger.
Okay, your monstrous companion,
well,
perhaps?
I don't know. We'll have to see because I haven't really followed it that closely. But that's my understanding is you have one uber minion.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. So MCDM, they are not. This is not a one-off, not a one and done. They are not done with Draw Steel by a long shot.
They're
getting
just starting
more and more. And neither are we.
That's right.
We're not done, not by a long shot. We continue our crawl through Draw Steel Book 1 Heroes next week. We plan to dive into kits and perks, maybe even some complications as well. So we're getting there. Thanks for bearing with us. Thanks for listening as always, following at Thieves Cant Cast. Remember, if you want to weigh in, if you've got thoughts on Draw Steel, some perspectives that we need to hear that you have that we don't, maybe you've played Draw Steel, we love to get that feedback. We love it. Drop it on YouTube, email thievescantcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And a reminder, if you're not aware, we have a sister show, Thieves Cant, a tabletop gaming podcast that drops weekly as well. So you can look for that on the channel. Follow both shows. Stay in the know. Chris, parting words as we wrap up classes and move on with our day.
No, just much love to everybody. Thanks to everyone for listening. I hope you'll listen to the other show if you liked the wit and intellectual banter that you heard in this one. You're definitely going to like the other show.
All of our content is steeped in those qualities.
Steeped.
Yeah. All right, so we will see you later in the week for Thieves Cant. We'll see you back next week for another episode of Thieves Cant Capers. Until then, I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
So long.